welcome back to our channel, your ultimate source for everything happening in Genoa City. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the intricate, high-stakes drama of our favorite families. We have a lot of ground to cover regarding the shocking downfall of a prominent corporate queen, so grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let us unpack the explosive developments heading our way. Victor Newman is standing on the precipice of a catastrophic personal and professional collapse, driven entirely by her blinding obsession with reclaiming the family business. In her desperate, unyielding quest to secure Newman Enterprises, Victoria has morphed into a terrifying reflection of her father, Victor Newman. She is operating with a cold, calculated ruthlessness that completely ignores the collateral damage she is inflicting on the people around her. Her entire existence has become a relentless pursuit of Victor's elusive approval, a toxic need to prove herself as his ultimate heir. In doing so, she is entirely failing to realize that this hollow victory might cost her absolutely everything that truly matters. The tragedy of Victoria is not just that she is making ruthless corporate moves, but that she is doing so at the expense of her own humanity. Sacrificing her moral compass on the altar of her father's massive, fragile ego. To truly understand the gravity of Victoria's current descent, one must examine the deeply ingrained psychological conditioning she has endured under Victor's tyrannical reign. For decades, Victor has treated his children as pawns on a chessboard, rewarding loyalty with temporary affection and punishing independence with brutal corporate excommunication. Victoria has internalized this toxic dynamic, convincing herself that the only way to survive and thrive in the Newman family is to outmaneuver, outmanipulate, and out-destroy anyone who stands in her way. She is so consumed by the need to be the golden child to impress the patriarch, who has broken her heart time and time again, that she has developed a severe case of tunnel vision. She cannot see the devastation she is causing because her eyes are locked solely on the CEO chair and the approving nod of a man who is fundamentally incapable of unconditional love. The impending implosion of Victoria's carefully constructed world is likely to be triggered by the one person who still holds a mirror up to her soul, her daughter, Claire Newman. Claire has been closely observing the fallout of the Newman family's latest corporate warfare, and she is rapidly reaching her breaking point. The catalyst for this inevitable confrontation is the devastating ripple effect of Cain Ashby's arrest. Victoria and Victor's orchestrated artificial intelligence framing plot has successfully landed Cain behind bars, but in their blinding pursuit of Phyllis Summers, they have completely ignored the human cost. Holden Novak is currently experiencing profound emotional devastation because Cain's incarceration directly prevents him from traveling to New York to donate life-saving bone marrow to his biological father, Malcolm Winters. Claire, who has grown deeply protective of Holden, is watching an innocent man's life hang in the balance simply because her mother wants a company back. The sheer cruelty of the situation surrounding Malcolm Winters cannot be overstated, and it highlights the terrifying depths of Victoria's moral bankruptcy. Malcolm is battling a severe case of aplastic anemia, his life slipping away with each passing day, and Cain Ashby is his only viable match. By utilizing forged digital evidence to have Cain arrested, Victoria has essentially signed a death warrant for Malcolm. She is fully aware of the medical crisis, yet she remains chillingly indifferent, viewing Cain's arrest merely as a successful strategic maneuver in her war against Phyllis. This level of apathy is staggering. Victoria is not just playing corporate hardball. She is actively playing God with the lives of the Winters family. The fact that she can sleep at night knowing her actions are preventing a dying man from receiving a life-saving transplant demonstrates a profound lack of empathy that even Victor might find difficult to justify in his quieter moments. This horrific reality sets the stage for a massive, emotionally charged confrontation between Claire and Victoria. Claire is poised to take a remarkably bold stand, refusing to be complicit in her family's lethal games. She is expected to approach her mother with a devastating ultimatum, demanding that Victoria and Victor drop the fabricated charges against Cain immediately so the transplant can proceed. Claire knows that appealing to Victor's conscience is a futile endeavor, as the patriarch has explicitly stated he does not care who gets hurt in his pursuit of vengeance. Therefore, Claire must target the last remaining shred of Victoria's maternal soul. She will likely make it abundantly clear that she will no longer tolerate or turn a blind eye to the Newman family's toxic, destructive behavior. Having previously threatened to walk away from Victor's orbit, Claire is now prepared to draw a permanent line in the sand with her mother, forcing Victoria to choose between her daughter and her father's vindictive crusade. Claire's impending ultimatum is not born out of a single incident, but rather a cumulative disgust with Victoria's long history of ruthless behavior during her tenure as chief executive officer. When Victoria previously held the reins of Newman Enterprises, she ruled with an iron fist that often alienated her closest relatives. She coldly pushed her own brother, Nick Newman, out of the company, viewing his moral objections as a weakness rather than a necessary counterbalance to her ambition. Victoria systematically dismantled any internal opposition, treating her family members not as loved ones, but as corporate liabilities that needed to be neutralized. Her tenure was marked by chilling detachment, a willingness to sacrifice sibling bonds for profit margins and absolute control. This history proves that Victoria's current behavior is not an anomaly, but rather a deeply ingrained pattern of prioritizing power over people. Furthermore, Victoria's past actions demonstrate a shocking willingness to disrespect and sideline even the matriarch of the family, Nikki Newman. In her previous stint as the head of the company, Victoria unceremoniously pushed Nikki and other low family members aside to make room for her romantic partner at the time, Nate Hastings. She allowed her personal infatuations to dictate her corporate strategy, elevating Nate to positions of immense power while simultaneously disrespecting the decades of loyalty and hard work her mother had dedicated to the family legacy. This blatant disregard for family hierarchy and emotional bonds showcase Victoria's terrifying ability to compartmentalize her feelings, treating her mother with the same cold indifference she would a rival executive. It is this exact brand of emotional detachment that is currently allowing her to ruin lives in the name of reclaiming her throne. Victoria's path of destruction also includes the severe mistreatment of Adam Newman and Sally Spectra. She has consistently weaponized Adam's dark past against him, refusing to acknowledge any of his attempts at redemption while simultaneously engaging in behavior that is just as manipulative and cruel. Her treatment of Sally was equally dismissive, viewing her as an unworthy interloper rather than a capable professional. Ironically, Victoria even turned her ruthlessness toward Victor himself during her time in power, attempting to outmaneuver the patriarch in a dangerous game of corporate chess. Now, she has seemingly forgotten her own rebellions and is blindly following his every command, reverting to her role as a dutiful, destructive daughter. Her hypocrisy is glaring, as she condemns the actions of others while continuously engaging in the exact same toxic behaviors to secure her own dominance. The most glaring example of Victoria's staggering hypocrisy lies in the current artificial intelligence scandal. Victoria is operating under a massive double standard regarding the use of this advanced technology in corporate warfare. She is acutely aware that it was Victor who first crossed the ethical line by utilizing artificial intelligence to orchestrate the hostile takeover of Chancellor from Kane Ashby, and later deploying it against Matt Clark. Yet, when karma inevitably struck and Phyllis Summers utilized the very same technology to reverse the takeover and steal the company back, Victoria cried foul. She positioned herself and her father as the victims of a heinous crime, conveniently ignoring the fact that Victor was the architect of this digital warfare. This selective outrage highlights Victoria's deeply flawed moral compass, where actions are only deemed wrong if they negatively impact the Newman family. Now, Victoria is an active, willing participant in Victor's retaliatory framing plot, a scheme that is exponentially more malicious than anything Phyllis executed. Victor has used his advanced program to fabricate highly convincing, yet entirely fake, emails and documents designed to frame Phyllis, Kane and Billy Abbott for federal crimes. Victoria has personally delivered this forged evidence to the newly reinstated District Attorney, Christine Blair Romalotti, fully intending to send innocent people to prison. She is perfectly content to watch Billy, the father of her children, face catastrophic legal ruin simply to satisfy Victor's thirst for vengeance. The fact that she is willing to traumatize her children, Johnny and Katie, by orchestrating their father's wrongful arrest is a testament to how deeply she has fallen into the abyss of Victor's manipulative control. As if her corporate and legal machinations were not abhorrent enough, Victoria's recent stance on the horrific trauma inflicted upon Jack Abbott represents a new low in her moral decay. Victor recently orchestrated a deeply disturbing plot in which Jack was kidnapped, heavily drugged, and trapped on a yacht with the severely unstable and dangerous Patty Williams. This was a profound violation, a traumatic experience that left Jack deeply scarred and victimized. Yet, when confronted with the sheer brutality of her father's actions, Victoria actually chose to victim blame Jack. She callously dismissed the severity of the kidnapping and drugging, essentially arguing that Jack brought it upon himself by daring to oppose the Newman family. To defend such a heinous, violent act requires a complete suspension of empathy, proving that Victoria has entirely lost touch with basic human decency in her quest to defend her father's indefensible actions. Watching Victoria Newman's tragic descent into this abyss of cruelty evokes a profound sense of heartbreak and deep frustration for those of us who have followed her journey. We feel a visceral ache seeing a woman of such immense intelligence, capability, and potential continually reduce herself to a mere instrument of her father's narcissism. It is genuinely agonizing to witness her extinguish her own inner light, choosing the cold, sterile comfort of corporate power over the warmth of genuine human connection. There is a deeply unsettling tragedy in watching a mother willingly jeopardize the emotional well-being of her children and the lives of innocent people, all for the fleeting validation of a man who demands absolute surrender. It leaves a heavy, lingering sadness in the heart to realize that Victoria is building her empire on a foundation of shattered lives, entirely blind to the fact that the throne she so desperately seeks is surrounded by an ocean of self-inflicted isolation. The ultimate consequence of Victoria's blind obedience to Victor is a future defined by absolute, suffocating loneliness. If she continues down this dark, unforgiving path, she is virtually guaranteed to lose everything that holds true value. Claire's ultimatum is just the beginning. It is the first major fracture in the foundation of Victoria's personal life. If she allows Kane to rot in a jail cell and Malcolm to die, Clara will undoubtedly sever ties with her mother forever. Furthermore, if Billy is arrested based on Victoria's forged evidence, the psychological trauma inflicted upon Johnny and Katie will create an irreparable rift. Victoria is trading the love and respect of her children for a corner office in a glass tower. She is so focused on winning the war against Phyllis that she is entirely oblivious to the fact that she is actively destroying her own family from the inside out. Victoria Newman is playing a highly dangerous game of Russian roulette with her soul, and the chamber is quickly running out of empty slots. Her ruthless ambition, her staggering hypocrisy, and her terrifying willingness to sacrifice innocent lives for corporate gain have pushed her past the point of no return. As Claire prepares to deliver her devastating ultimatum, Victoria will be forced to look in the mirror and decide whether she is a mother first or a Newman executive above all else. Will she finally recognize the monster she is becoming and break free from Victor's toxic grip, or will she double down on her cruelty and watch her entire world burn to the ground? The clock is ticking, the stakes have never been higher, and the fallout from Victoria's next move promises to change the landscape of Genoa City forever.